It is perhaps the most bizarre U.S. presidential election in recent times. The election has been turned upside down over the past 2 weeks. First, an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, and later, President Biden pulling out of the race after his debate performance. Would voters look more sympathetically toward Trump after a close call with life? And what does Kamala Harris mean for the race? Joining me now is Bruce Heyman, former U.S. ambassador to Canada under the Democrats. Thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador. I mean, just as a Democrat watching all of this unfold, do you feel like the party is united enough and has what it takes to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump?
I think so. I think right now we are energized, inspired, we are motivated, and I have never seen anything like this in recent years. It reminds me very much of 2008 when I worked very closely with then Senator Obama working on his presidential campaign. We are seeing a level of enthusiasm and excitement that we just have not seen for a bit.
The criticism has been that the Democratic process, the Democrats didn't go through a robust primary process to get to this candidate, Kamala Harris.
Well, they did. They picked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris over the last year in all of the primaries. And what happened was that President Biden, in a selfless move, in putting country over party, made the choice to step away, which I think was the right choice for him, but also for our country. And thus, she is the person that everybody voted to be the vice president. Vice president is the person who steps in to become president in the event that the president doesn't want to be president. In this case, he didn't want to run. And this was just natural. And leaders across the U.S., donors, supporters in the Democratic Party have all coalesced around her. And I think the party's pretty unified at this place.
Does that mean that the policies will be similar to what Americans and Canadians who've been watching at a distance have been seeing unfold?
I think so. Very similar. While there may be nuances and some differences that she'll articulate as this campaign goes on, she represents an administration that was so highly successful in terms of legislative outcomes, in which she was the deciding vote on many of those pieces of legislation. If you remember, at the 50-50 tie in the Senate, the vice president cast the deciding vote. So she deserves a lot of credit at being part of that process. But the Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, all of these things, lowering insulin costs for the elderly. I mean, all of these things were taking place under the joint administration of Biden-Harris. So I think that one can assume that many of these policies will go forward.
So then you've got this known quantity for Canada, at least, in a possible Harris administration, and kind of a known quantity as well in a possible Trump administration. Though in the conversations I've been having, that maybe if it is a Trump presidency, it's a more emboldened one. And Canadians, certainly those that were on the trade file, remember Robert Lighthizer as, the man constructing the USMCA or CUSMA, as we call it here. What do Canadians need to be on guard for?
This is your warning, Canada. And I've been saying this across your country. This is your tsunami warning. And a tsunami warning doesn't mean a tsunami's happening, but it means the conditions are ripe for it. And I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I want to be direct. Just take what the Republicans, Donald Trump and Vance, are saying that they would implement, rounding up millions, as many as 11 million, they say, migrants in the U.S. If they do that, many of them will run, and I don't think they're running to our southern border. And I don't know if you're prepared for the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people that could potentially run north. Second, environmental standards can be turned completely upside down. And the investments that you and many of us have made with regard to electric vehicles and alternative sources of energy may be turned completely upside down. Three, he's talked about a tariff on all imported goods. Hello, you are our best and most valuable trading partner. And if all of your goods had a tariff slapped on between 10 and 20%, that would dramatically affect your economy. They've talked about a women not having the right to abortion and health care. Right now, they run from red states to blue states, but if it's across the country, where do you think they're going to go? And then NATO, while you've gone to 2%, the real question is, how does Trump feel about that? And what would he do if you're not at 2% now with regard to defense spending? All of these things may happen, and they may happen within the first 100 days of a Trump administration. And thus my warning to prepare for that. But more importantly, to Americans living in Canada, you have the ability to make sure this doesn't happen by voting, by going to votefromabroad.org. You have the right to vote. You should vote. And in the 2020 election, many Americans living overseas were the outcome that helped Joe Biden win.